Welcome to the Amazon Seller Podcast, another live edition here this week. We are again trying to do a live edition on YouTube, and then we, of course, will be putting this onto iTunes and our podcast for those of you who like to listen to the audio-only version. You can go to amazingfreedom.com/YouTube to check out the YouTube version. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, you're definitely going to want to hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching on YouTube, the either live or the recording, you should go to amazingfreedom.com/podcast and subscribe to that as well. A lot of our listeners like to listen on the car or while they're packing boxes or doing whatever, right? It's good to have both methods to follow us. So we're going to do stuff a little bit different in this episode. We're going to be talking about Amazon storefronts. We're going to be talking about external traffic and headline ads, just give you a sneak peek of what's going to be coming up in just a few moments. But what we're going to be doing different, and we're going to try to start doing on future episodes, is we're going to give a little bit of a rundown of what the three of us have been doing in our own businesses. As we say often in the podcast, we don't just talk about this each week in the podcast. We actually apply what we're talking about here every day in our own Amazon businesses. And really, it's what allowed us to be able to learn more and more information, is applying this in our own businesses and then coming on here and sharing what we do to make millions of dollars in sales, right? So guys, let's start off. Liron, we're going to start with you, but I have to preface this by saying you can't take the entire episode sharing what you've been up to this last week, because if you share everything that you're doing, it'll probably take 30 minutes. So maybe give us a quick 1-2 minutes, what you've been doing just this last week in your business to help grow your business and that you think is going to be good long-term, beneficial for you and your Amazon business.
Sure. So I've been working on a number of things. So my 2 brand websites actually went live yesterday. So I'm pretty excited about that and looking to really drive traffic and build an audience off of Amazon. Whether or not I send that audience to Shopify or to Amazon, I'm really working on building an audience. So one of the things that I've been working on is building up I think you're working on the same thing, building out a messenger bot audience. So I'm looking to do that. Also build an email audience. So have those websites up. I've been working on also sending external traffic to Amazon, which we'll talk about, and tracking that. And also working with influencers. I'm going to be working with some new software to find influencers to work with. So I'm kind of really looking to take my brand to the next level in a sense. So that's kind of 2018 for me. I'm attacking things from a few different standpoints. I'm talking to some retail opportunities right now. So retail opportunities, influencers, Facebook and Google traffic are all kind of things I'm working on to take my brand to really have a presence off of just Amazon. The last couple of years, it's really been 95% Amazon. So the goal this year is to really build out a real brand where Amazon isn't the business, Amazon is a channel, right? So I think when you kind of take that as a mind shift, right, or a different mindset about what Amazon is, because in reality, for me and for probably a lot of people watching this, Amazon is your business, but ideally you just want it to be a distribution channel for your brand. So that's kind of what I'm working on this year.
All of this was in the last week too, right? Just in the last week?
Yeah, I had a phone call today from my retail broker about a possible order. My websites went live yesterday. I got pro video done. That's I started working on like about a month ago. That's ready. That I got the first draft to look at today. So yeah, working on trying to attack a lot of marketing. Really focusing on taking my marketing to the next level, driving traffic outside of Amazon.
And awesome. I would say this, Liron, just being up close with you and communicating with you every day, like some of the things that you've executed on just within the last 2 days are things that probably you've been working on for the last 4 or 5 months, right?
Yeah,
they're finally like getting live.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started working, and so it's interesting. There was a post in the group today, in our group today, Amazing Freedom group, about somebody saying, "Are you discouraged seeing all the sellers?" But, sometimes seeing new sellers come in and competition comes in, to me, it fires me up. So I'm in the Amazon Exclusives program, so I have the ability to I have the ability to add video on my listings. And I saw some new competitors kind of copying my stuff, even though it's patent pending. But I saw some new competitors about 6-7 weeks ago coming in, and I said, I'm going to crush them. And I immediately, and that was an emotional decision, right? But I went, I'm paying for pro video, right? Because that competition fires me up to beat them, right? And be better. And so, I think you can look at competition from a number of different standpoints, but for me, nobody loves competition, but it also fires me up. I know the same thing with you, Andy. When you see competition creeping in on your products, you like to go full force, right? And so,
I think that's true. Like in sports, great teams, when they play bad teams, a lot of times they'll play poorly, and then when they play great teams, it kind of brings out the best in them, right? And that's the great thing about our economy, about capitalism, however you want to say it. If you're really in the game, then it ups what you're gonna do.
Right, absolutely. So so that got me fired up to do video, and the competition. I think Mark Cuban, has a quote, something like, work like your competition is working while you're sleeping, right? Like when you have to kind of always be ahead of the game and working hard to move forward in your business and hustle harder than your competition. And so that's kind of how I feel about, the Amazon opportunity. It's such an amazing opportunity right now that you really want to, and e-commerce, that you really want to take full force advantage and not just like walk or jog. You want to run full force as hard as you can from all directions, right? Because we're living in a golden age where anybody can start a business really with very little funds. And so it's an amazing opportunity that we all have. And I look at that opportunity and I don't want to look back and say, hey, I didn't go full force, right? It's, I think Jeff Bezos talks about his regret minimization framework and not looking back. So I attack marketing from a lot of different standpoints. I've had failures, in marketing too. But I try to attack from a lot of different angles and have successes and move past the failures and keep moving forward. So I think for me, it's the only way I know how to do it. Some other random stuff. I'll talk for another minute. Some other random stuff that I've done in the last few weeks is, I've emailed somebody that I saw was interested in a product I wanted to make. I thought it might have a patent, and it does. I emailed the patent owner. I just met him last week face to face, and I'm looking to license that patent. I saw an opportunity to sponsor something that would fit very well within my brand. I sent an email out to this organization. They actually knew of my brand already, and we'll see where that goes as far as sponsorship opportunities. So there's so many ways that I think we need to start thinking about building brands, right? You look at certain brands that have done really well, like Bulletproof Coffee, or certain brands that have done really well by advertising on Tim Ferriss's podcast, or putting money into areas that some of us might not really think about. And if we start thinking a little bit outside the box on where's the audience for my brand or for my product line, and how do I get in front of them, I think you can find opportunities that you're not taking advantage of right now.
Awesome. I mean, there's so many things that you hit on that will probably be future podcast episodes, actually, because I have questions for you, and I'm sure our audience does, but for the sake of time on this episode, we'll probably wait, stuff like building our own websites and some of that stuff I know we could talk about for a while. So we'll just hold that off as a future episode, maybe even next week, right? Where we'll kind of cover the bases on that, like whether you're doing it yourself, hiring it out. I know the answer to some of it, but we'll wait to see kind of what that's looking like. And then maybe if we wait a couple weeks, we'll actually see some results from you, actually. So that's awesome to hear kind of what you're doing. And Andy, before I throw it over to you, we're taking longer in this intro than we normally will do, but it's the first week, so I think it's all right. But Andy, before I throw it over to you, Leon, I just wanted to read some of the comments we got on that post that you mentioned. Someone asked again, the question was, does anyone else here feel discouraged about all the people selling on Amazon? Okay, so this was a post in the Amazing Freedom group that was asked today. And we got a couple great comments on that post I just want to read here, I think is helpful for anyone that doesn't see this post. I said myself, no, because when I started 4 years ago, I heard at that time a lot of people complaining there was too many sellers. And if I would have listened to those people complaining 4 years ago, 4+ now, I would have missed out on a lot of sales and obviously growing my business to where it is today, right? And then Gay Lisby commented on that, $1 million seller that's in our group and teaches a group of ours actually, says, same here. I would have, if I would have listened, I would have missed out on over $3 million worth of sales, right? Or $3 million sales poor, she says. A couple other good quotes, comments. One from Torin here, who's actually in our inner circle, says, less today about the number of sellers. He says, less today than next year. Be an early mover. Liran, you kind of just said that. Andy's quote that he often says in our group and Facebook Lives is the best time to sell on Amazon was probably 15 years ago, and the second best time is now, right? It's going to be better now than next year. Another good comment by Alex saying, nope, develop your skills. Most other sellers are actually pretty easy to beat. And if you're in our inner circle group or a listener of our podcast, something we like to say to our members is that we don't want you to just be the average private label or Amazon seller, right? If that's the case, you probably won't do that well. But if you are the top 10% or even better, the top 1%, right? Like we feel that most people that are in our course, our inner circle group, or even listening to our podcast are part of that top percentile, then it's really doesn't matter how that more people are coming in if you're able to beat them. There's a lot of other good comments about the number, the opportunity basically that's out there. But Liran, I think you hit that well. So I just wanted to cover that because I think a lot of people come in with that mindset. It's a valid question, so I'm not dismissing the question or saying it's, you know, not a valid question to have. But I think there are plenty of reasons why you shouldn't kind of have that mindset and you're kind of defeating yourself before you even get into it. So wanted to throw that out there. Andy, let's talk about what you've been up to in this last week. Give us a brief minute or two about some of the stuff going on in your business just in this last week.
Sure. So I've been doing some logistics work. Just recently leased a pretty large warehouse. Had never owned a warehouse before. I've always used third-party prep and pack companies. That's what I've done for the last year and a half. When I first started out, I was doing it all myself. I had some employees, part-time employees that would do it. Had made the business decision to get a warehouse because I think long-term it's going to benefit me greatly. One of the things that I want to be able to do is I always want to be able to have a 4 to 6 month supply of my products in the US at all times. Because if you sell on Amazon as a private label seller, you know, like one of the worst things that can happen is for you to go out of stock. That actually happened to me a few times. Last year, one of my products, it cost me over $200,000 in revenue because I didn't manage the supply chain correctly. So as I've grown my business, I found the need to have a warehouse. So I've been getting my hands dirty because we're still rearranging the warehouse, still organize it. It was actually supposed to get a shipment of product in last Friday. And this is a typical logistics problem. The trucking company, for some reason, wasn't able to pick it up. So rescheduled it for today and was supposed to meet the shipment again today. And the trucking company messed up the shipment somehow. So now it's going to be for the third try. I'll be trying to unload that shipment on Friday. So that's actually what I'm doing. Again, I'm trying to get 4 to 6 months of supply in my warehouse so that I never have to worry about going out of stock. Because I think that's huge as a seller to just continue to keep your nice page rank and keep it up there. So that's one thing. Second thing is I've really been doubling and tripling down on my best-selling SKUs, my best-selling products. So I've been making variations as well as multi-packs on the listings to give customers more options. And, you know, it's the typical 80-20 rule. Still 20% of my products bring 80% of the profit. So I really want to focus on how I can build those out. And so those are really the two main things I've been working on the last week. What about you, Nate?
So Andy, so my nephew is watching this and he says to me, 4 to 6 months. Wow. The issue is affording to have so much product on hand. And so how would you address that?
So I've done it a few different ways. I actually wholesale some of my product to other Amazon sellers. And so I'm able to make a little per unit and then I recoup my cash flow immediately. So that's one way. The second way is because I've been selling on Amazon now for 5 years, and I've done pretty good job of managing my finances. So I've built up, my cash flow. I've built up my business account to be able to do that. The third way is I have a few suppliers that give me terms. So they allow me to wait to pay them the remaining 70% until the product arrives in the USA. So that usually gives me like an extra 30 to 45 days to float that cash flow. So those are two or three of the ways that I've been able to do it like that.
A fourth way that's maybe not ideal, we're not necessarily recommending it for everyone, but is some kind of small business loan, right? Or an Amazon loan. And Andy, I know you and Liran both have done Amazon loans. And again, debatable whether the rates are worth it or not, but and if it's going to work out or well, we're not trying to say that one way or the other as far as recommendation, but that is a way that some people use to get additional capital, right?
Yeah, especially, if you have an existing product that kind of predictable sales. Obviously with Amazon, you never know what can happen, right? Your listing could be taken down or something. But if you know your sales and you kind of know your return on investment, then yeah, funding is could be a very good way to make sure you never go out of stock on your top selling products or getting terms, from your supplier.
Right. And Andy, something I wanted to say, you said the 80-20 rule about creating multi-packs and variations on your product. Not only is it the 80-20 rule, but for anyone that is in sales or comes from a sales background like Liran and I do, that they often say that it's much cheaper to keep an existing client than acquire a new one, basically. And although it's not exactly the same, but basically you're using a product that is already well, and you're basically creating new variations and new products with that proven success instead of trying to create a whole new product. I think it kind of goes along with that same concept. So that's awesome to hear. Yeah. And so in my business in the last week, as Liran kind of mentioned already before, I've been working on some chat messenger bot features on a new product I actually partner with Andy and another seller on. We're kind of working on that. I've been working on some really cool inserts, trying to create some templates. Actually, created it for 2 different products that we have right now. And I'm trying to create a template that I can use basically across the board, potentially even offer as part of the Magic Image Service. Anyone that has checked out the Magic Image Service at amazingfreedom.com/magic, that we help sellers create 7, typically the 7 enhanced images, right, for their main product images or for EBC, enhanced brand content. We're potentially going to offer some kind of inserts. We've been having people ask us, hey, would you be able to create an insert that looks really good for us? We've even considered packaging and stuff like that. So some additional things we might add to that service just because people are asking us for it. But I've been working on that. And then, it's a little bit difficult this time of the year as we're recording this right now because it is Chinese New Year, right? And so I'm actually, one of my goals this year is to bring more new products to the marketplace. And I've been it's a struggle, right, during Chinese New Year to get quotes and to talk with suppliers, which is valid. So I've been creating spreadsheets, basically doing my research, looking on Alibaba still for potential suppliers, just either sending them a message in chat, even though I know they're not going to get back to me right away, but just so I have that in there, and then creating spreadsheets with information. So I have like 10 different products right now. 8 to 10 different products right now that are actually just in the works, right? Products that either we've gotten the sample for already or that I'm hoping to get a sample for as soon as Chinese New Year is done, which is going to be, not too much longer now. So that's kind of been my last week, hoping to launch more new products. And it's more of the same, but it's just building up for that long-term success like Liran was talking about. So yeah, so that's a quick rundown. We probably won't do it so long in the future episodes, but we want to kind of give you what's going on in our business because we think it's going to be helpful for you as a listener, just kind of what goes on in a typical private label business, or if you already have your private label business, maybe something that Liran is doing that you might end up doing yourself, right? And I know it's helpful. Liran messages Andy and I almost every day with a new concept or idea that he's implementing in his business. And it helps me, it helps us kind of say like, oh yeah, we need to do that too. We need to, we need to implement this strategy too. And that's a lot of the stuff that I'm working on is kind of like playing catch up with Liran on the stuff that he's doing. But I'm all right with that. I think that's always cool. All right, so let's get into this episode. I'm getting a little bit of an echo. Are you guys hearing anything?
Nope.
Good on your end?
Yep.
Cool. So let's talk about some of the strategies that we want to talk about here today. One of the things we want to talk about was the Amazon storefront. So Liran, this is something that I know you're working on in your business. Maybe you can go over why you feel like an Amazon storefront is helpful, and then some of the cool things that it allows you to do that you can't do otherwise, and then maybe also what some of the requirements are to have an Amazon storefront, right? So there's a couple things that you need to have in order to do that. If you could go through that.
Yeah. So if you don't already have a storefront, or if you haven't built one through like access to AMS or anything like that, you need to have brand registry 2.0 to be able to have a storefront. You were able to do it in the past, I think, with the original brand registry, but if you never got that, then you need the new brand registry, which means that as of right now, you need a registered trademark to be able to apply for brand registry. Amazon is looking to maybe, from what they've told me, to make changes to that, where maybe once your trademark goes into like where they do like the ad, it's almost towards the end of it being registered a couple months before. They might allow you to get brand registry there in the future. But anyway, you need brand registry. Once you have that, you have the ability to build this storefront. So I think there's a lot of advantages to having it. One, when somebody clicks on your brand name, instead of going to, like regular sort of Amazon pages that have your products, they go to your storefront. That's an opportunity for you to showcase your products, and the nicer the storefront that you have, the more professional you're going to look, the more like a real brand you're going to look, and you're able to showcase your products. You're able to have a lot more there, so you can have text on what your brand is, what your brand story is. You can have video on there. You can have multiple pages, so you can have if you have, let's say, within your brand, let's say you're selling kitchen products, and you're selling glasses. So you can have kind of like one page for all the types of glasses you sell. Then you can have another page for all the kitchen, small appliances maybe that you sell, or whatever it is. You can have different categories of products that you sell. And you could just feature your products much better, in my opinion. And also, when customers are looking at your products there, they're not looking at your competition. Now, right now, they can't check out necessarily from the storefront. So once they click on a specific product, they will go to a regular detail page. I wouldn't be surprised if, a year from now, customers would be able to do the entire checkout process maybe just on your storefront. The other nice benefit, so besides being able to add video and more text and kind of images, more lifestyle photos of your products, the other nice thing is that Amazon gives you some metrics on your storefront that they don't give you just on your regular detail pages. So they give you, for example, how many visitors you've had on a daily basis to the storefront, but they also give you where those visitors came from. So you'll see it says like organic traffic. You can also send headline traffic there. One of the huge benefits is that if you don't have 3 ASINs in your brand, you can still run headline search ads to your storefront with only 1 or 2 products. You can't do that without having the storefront. So that's a big advantage, because a lot of people have just launched, they have 1 or 2 products in their brand, or they have multiple brands and they don't have 3 products within 1 brand. So you could do headline search ads. So that's huge. It's an opportunity to get in front of more customers, advertise more, and send traffic to your storefront. But it also gives you the ability to track outside traffic. So one of the things in there that I've seen pop up recently is you're able to create these tags. So let's say you're running a Facebook ad and you want to run that traffic directly to your storefront. Well, you can create a specific link for that ad specifically. So you can call it like Facebook ad and some kind of tracking information for yourself. And then they'll give you a little tag at the that gets added to the end of your storefront URL. And then you can use that in your ad. And when you send traffic there, it'll track the traffic and sales from that. So it's the only way I've seen what gives you the ability to track sending external traffic. So I've been testing this, running some AdWords, Google AdWords, external traffic to my storefront. I'll be doing some Facebook stuff, but lots of advantages in building out that storefront in terms of just branding, showcasing. it's also a great opportunity to showcase all your products in one place to a customer, right? Because, you know, if a customer does a search and finds one of your products, then, you know, they're not necessarily seeing your complementary products, right? It'd be great on Amazon if you could have your garlic press and then your spatula, right, next to it together and say, hey, we sell both these products, but you don't really have the ability to do that. Within your storefront, you have the ability to showcase nicely complementary products together and hopefully increase your, you know, average order value, the amount of units you sell to a customer, and kind of get more loyalty. I think the future is that customers will be able to follow your storefront. And if they follow your storefront, I think you'll be able to to sort of send them promotions and notices and things like that. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Amazon changing the amount of emails, maybe, or outbound emails that you can send to customers through autoresponders. But I think what they do want is they do want more customers to connect with brands, but they want to give the control to the customer. So there'll be a button on your storefront probably where it's like follow the brand, and then it's up to the customer, you know, to follow you, and you'll be able to communicate with them more about promotions, etc. So lots of benefits to building out a storefront and getting brand registry 2.0.
Right. So a storefront, it's going to be more beneficial if you have more than one product, obviously, because there is just, you know, there's kind of a lot of area there, right, to display on the storefront. However, what you're saying is that you feel like we're still at the early stages of the storefront and it's worth the investment in kind of getting it better looking, right? And spending time and or possibly money, right, on helping it. I know you've actually hired some people to help with your storefront. Is that just because you feel like this is something that's going to be more and more important? And does this take the place of a website for some people? Like you mentioned earlier in the episode, you have your own website now for two of your brands. What's kind of that in the mix for most brands, do you feel like?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think most brands will want to have their own website and their own sort of Amazon, you know, site. And, you know, yeah, I've gotten help in terms of, let's say, creating a graphic. So there's like in the storefront, there's like a hero image you can put on top. It has to be a certain dimension, right? I'm not great with graphics, but I got a freelancer to create, you know, graphic for me, right? Like 15, 20 bucks, right? It's not like I spent, you know, hundreds or thousands of dollars on creating the storefront. It's very simple. You could do it yourself. And if you need some graphics, it's very cheap to, you know, to be able to get it online for the storefront. It's not my forte, so I just, you know, paid someone to do it for me. But it's definitely worth, if you have Brand Registry 2.0 and you haven't. I know I posted this in our inner circle group, and some people said, yeah, I have a storefront, but I haven't really, but it doesn't look great, you know, whatever. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? You know, go on Upwork or use FreeUp or use something to find somebody who's going to help you. Because for, you know, if you're going to give them the whole thing to do, 50 bucks, 100 bucks, you can have a really nice storefront. Now you can invest to have more things there, right? So let's say you do only have one product, but you shoot this like amazing video of the product, then yeah, I would want to showcase that with, you know, big video on the front of the storefront, and then showcasing the product, talking about the brand. I would still want to do that. So yeah, you can invest on a variety of levels, but if you have Brand Registry 2.0, you're going to want to have a storefront. And I think what you want to do is try playing around or testing with sending outside traffic. Again, that's something you could test out by yourself, or you can outsource to you know, an expert. But definitely worth playing around with, and also test headline ads, right? Because let's say you do have 3 products for your brand, you could test sending headline ads to a regular sort of headline ads landing page that just shows your products, you know, typically the way they show up on a headline search ads landing page, just like in order. Or you can send that traffic to your storefront too, and you can test and see what gets you better conversions, you know, or what's more successful for you. So yeah, I think you're going to want to have the storefront. You're going to want to have, you know, a website too, and kind of build outside of Amazon. But you know, I think within Amazon, it makes you look like a brand and a lot more professional. You know, you could check out the Amazon Basics, you know, storefront to kind of take a look at an example of what you could do, and it does look like a really nice, you know, website. To me, I wouldn't say it would replace it, but it's like having your own sort of website within the Amazon, you know, ecosystem.
Right. And like you said, in certain situations, being able to show someone that they can go to amazon.com/your brand, /Leron's brand, right? It looks really professional and cool. And they get to this page. I've seen your storefront. I go to it and it looks awesome. It looks like a professional website, except it still has Amazon's logos on it, right? So I think to certain people, depending on, I'm trying to think when you would possibly use this, but it does look professional and it looks really cool, and like you're part of Amazon and like they care about you.
Yeah, and so if let's say you didn't have a website, but you wanted to promote your brand within social media or an Instagram account, right? You put that in your Instagram bio as opposed to just like your, some of your products or another link or something, right? It makes it look a lot more professional. So you can use it on social media. You can give it to influencers. You can, right now, if talking about influencers, you can give an influencer a specific tag, right? Just like targeting the traffic, and see what kind of clicks and traffic am I getting from this, influencer, and is it converting into sales?
Right. Is it worth what you're paying them, right?
Yeah. Is it worth what you're paying them? Exactly. So, and you can see about wanting to work with that person again if you can start to think about tracking what traffic and any sales that they're sending you. So, and then there are advantages to it because it's still on Amazon and customers trust Amazon. So you might choose to send traffic there instead of your website because of the trust factor and because of the fact that conversion rates are generally higher on Amazon than on a website of an unknown brand.
Right. I was going to say, I saw your website that you just did for the two brands. It looks really, really good, but I know that you put a lot of time and money kind of into making that good, but that's because it doesn't have that inherent trust factor that you have on Amazon. And so for someone that's not ready to spend the money or be skilled enough to create their own website that looks really, really good, creating a storefront to send traffic to, or like you said, an influencer or whatever, is going to be a much cheaper alternative that still looks really good and makes you look professional. So I think that's cool.
And even on a really nice looking website, I still expect the conversion rate to be much lower than Amazon, because of the trust factor.
Right. Cool. Andy, I have a question for you. And then Leron, I want to come back about a post that you actually put in the Inner Circle recently that I thought was good about, what it takes to have $1 million brand. So I want to come back to that. Andy, something we kind of hit on a little bit, this is a little off topic, but ads, Leron was talking about those headline ads. You had a post in the Amazing Freedom group recently where you talked about product display ads and some of the success that you've had on that. Maybe you can talk about kind of what your strategy a little bit. There was a couple of really good tips that were given there. So I wanted to share, maybe not all of them, but one or two of those, what you've been doing with product display ads, what your experience has been with it the last couple of months, and kind of what's been involved with that.
Sure. So, up to, I don't know when the change was, probably 2 or 3 months ago, basically anybody could run an AMS ad. Like you had to apply, go through a process. And so in our Inner Circle group, like we were telling everybody in the group, hey, look, you need to do this, right? Like they're allowing everybody in, do this now. I'm not sure how many people paid attention or how many people went ahead and executed. It wasn't a very hard application process. And then about 2 or 3 months ago, they basically put a block on it. The only way that you can get AMS ads now is if you have a brand that's approved in 2.0, brand registry 2.0. So that's how you're able to get in. Why AMS ads is so much better, in my opinion, than Amazon regular sponsored ads is this. Any seller that has an Amazon seller account can run the regular Amazon sponsored ads, right? And so, that I think probably 98, 99% of sellers probably run, their Amazon sponsored ads. I don't know what the percent is that run AMS ads. I think that it is dramatically less, again, because it's a little harder to get into the application, and it for sure is less now because you have to have brand registry 2.0. But so the power of it is you're going to spend less, I think, on ads because you're competing with less sellers for those ads. So that's one thing. Second thing is this. The creativity that you can use is greater in the AMS ads. So one of my favorites is you can do they're called product display ads. And what that means is, like, Nate, if you're selling a product that is competing with my product, I can set up an ad that will be placed directly on your product page. And so if a customer is shopping and they're looking at your product and they're about to hit the add to cart button, my ad showing my product is going to be right under that add to cart button. And so if I have a product that is better, or if I have a value proposition and I have good copy, and I think I do in some of my ads, I actually just put a post. I've had an ad running now for 17 days and it's generated over $5,000 in sales, and the ACOS was 14%. And it's only been going on for 17 days. And so that ad goes directly under your add to cart button. And so I basically steal your customers, right? And now here's the thing, and Leron, maybe you can share a little bit about this because I love your strategy on it. You only have a few characters going to grab the attention, right, of the customer. So what I do on my product, it is a product that is more automated. So I specifically target competitors who use a manual version. And so in my headline, it basically says in a very short but powerful way, you know, hey, look, why do you want to continue using a manual version? Come over here to my side, click on my product, because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. And I'm able to do that with about 3 or 4 words.
Leron, this is what you were saying earlier about getting fired up. I can tell Andy is fired up from the competition, right? He gets giddy when he's beating up the competition.
Yeah, so that's the power, right, of those product display ads. So Leron, why don't you dig a little deeper, right, and tell us again like some of the creative things you can do.
Leron, you're muted there.
Okay, yeah. So you can do a lot of things with product display ads. You know, first, I love product display ads because there's so many ASINs you can target, there's different interests you can target. There's a lot you could do with it. What I like to do is I like to target the copy based on the competition. So, for example, you know, if I'm targeting somebody that doesn't have as good reviews, right, as mine, you know, I can target something like, you know, high quality, whatever product it is, right, that meant to last, right? Especially if I'm also at a higher price. If I'm cheaper in price, then now of course prices can change, but if I'm cheaper in price, then that product I can also write, you know, affordable, blah blah blah, right? So you can kind of target the copy based on the product that you're targeting, and like Andy said, you can you know you have some room there to play with copy, and so you can think about the person that's looking at that product and then looking at my ad. What do I need to kind of say to them to make them click on my product instead of adding that product to cart? And really, product display ads for me is a lot about testing and finding out which ASINs are going to work. And sometimes it's not just about stealing the sale. Sometimes it could be about a complementary product, right? So maybe you know, maybe they're buying you know, a picture frame and you're selling the hooks, right? That you need to hang it, right, or whatever it is, and you want to target complementary products that a person might need when they're buying that product, right? And so you could target the copy also. You know, so if the person is selling picture hooks, if the person is selling a picture frame, then you can target, you know, every picture frame needs a good hook, right? If you're selling the hooks on the ad to speak to that customer that's looking at that product. So there's a lot you can do with product display ads, and I love testing my product versus a lot of different ASINs to see what works, and we kind of basically pause the ones that aren't working or lower the bid first, then pause if it's not working, and then scale up a lot the ones that are working. You know, we'll start with, you know, $10, $15 daily budget, and then we'll scale it to $50 to $100 a day. We can't always get those impressions. It depends on how much traffic, you know, that product is getting. But if you're targeting, you know, if you happen to hit good ACOS on some very popular products, then you can get a lot of traffic from product display ads. So it's a huge opportunity. Again, you need brand registry now to access AMS. If you've already had AMS access, then you already have it without brand registry.
Right. And so it does take a little bit more work with product display ads because you have to kind of look on it at a individual ASIN to ASIN basis. However, that's kind of what gives you the edge, right? You're able to really come in and target a specific ASIN and either knock them out, like Andy was talking about, or be complementary and really show the customer that they should look at yours as well. I wanted to talk about that $1 million thing, but I think I'm going to hold off. Let's save it for another episode so that those who are listening, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode. We'll give kind of a breakdown that Ron recently gave to help put into perspective how you can have $1 million private label product, right? And so we'll save that maybe for next episode. Got a couple interesting, exciting things for next episode or the next couple. So if you're watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button now so that you get notified next time we go live or next time we have an episode on YouTube at amazingfreedom.com/YouTube, or whenever we come out with a podcast episode, which we always do Monday mornings. You can go to amazingfreedom.com, just the website actually, and check out the episodes and a write-up of them, or you can go to amazingfreedom.com/podcast and listen and download all of those episodes as well. If you're not in the Amazing Freedom group yet, you want to go there and join. We actually, as we're recording this, doing our 10,000 member celebration. We're kind of well over 10,000 members now, but we're celebrating by doing a full 10 days of giveaways. We're actually on day number 7 now, I think, hard to believe. So if you're watching this live, you still have a chance to get in for today's giveaway even, which we're giving away an awesome tool, Helium 10. For those who have listened to our podcast for a while, you've heard us talk about this before. You can go to amazingfreedom.com/helium if you've never seen this tool or what it does, but there's a number of cool things that it does. And we're actually giving away 3 months free of the platinum version for one lucky winner who has entered into that giveaway at amazingfreedom.com/giveaway. I'm throwing all kinds of links at you. So hopefully you can at least catch a couple of these. But that giveaway is going on. We've had we've had hundreds of people register in. However, if you register and share or like our page, there's a couple things, subscribe on YouTube. There's a couple things you could do to get extra entries. I think everyone who's won so far has had at least 12 entries. That means that they've either shared it or done a couple other things to get more entries. So you definitely want to do that because it greatly increases your chances. So if you're listening to this later, it might be over, but you still want to go and join the Amazing Freedom group at amazingfreedom.com/Facebook. We're going to keep bringing you action packed. Action packed, more like info packed, but action packed too. If Andy gets real fired up like he does sometimes, it gets action packed. And we're going to continue to bring you more information that we are doing in our businesses every single day. So I think that's going to cover it for this week. We gave you a lot of information, stuff that you can go out and apply now or get ready to apply soon to your own private label Amazon businesses. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Amazon Seller Podcast. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.